Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Redmen TV. It is a live Q&A, and today I am joined by none other than the United Stand Mark Goldbridge. Mark, thank you very much for joining us today. I can see you brought a lot of Manchester United fans over into the chat as well. I'm just going to put some ground rules down before we start, everybody, okay? Banter between fans is absolutely fine, and this goes for both Liverpool fans and Manchester United fans. But let's leave the past in the past, as it were, when we're talking about disasters that happen to our football club. We'd both be much better fan bases if the smallest minority of our fans could just drop that shit forever, because it's absolutely terrible, and there is no place for that in football fandom. So that goes for Manchester United fans watching and Liverpool fans watching. That is just not allowed, and you'll be banned straight away if you start messing around with that stuff. But yeah, that's the housekeeping out the way. I am joined by Mark Goldbridge of the United Stand Mark. Thank you very much for joining me. How are you feeling this evening?
I'm good. I'm good. No, we're on a Liverpool channel, so I'll try and be respectful. But we are top of the league for the first time in a long time. I did say to the fans to enjoy yesterday, and then today it's all about Liverpool, and that's what we're building towards now. So very excited about it, really. But it's a massive game as well. It's a bit of a new experience for us to be in this situation, whatever this situation is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and this is what we want. This, Liverpool Manchester United rivalry properly.
Well, let's talk into it then. Obviously, the context of the season now, Manchester United going into this game top of the table, a few points ahead of Liverpool. Does it feel like a proper 6-pointer to you?
I don't know what it is, because I look at the games we've got afterwards. I think we've got Fulham and Sheffield United. I'd expect us to win those. So, a draw is not a bad result. But if we got 6 points ahead of Liverpool, I'm also wary of City, and I'm sure you are as well. It's like if we draw and City win their games in hand, they go past us both, and we're suddenly arguing about nothing. So, but I think if we could somehow manage to win the game against you, 6 points at this stage of the season, I mean, it's not final. We've got a lot of hard games to come as well, but that would be huge. So yeah, it is one of those games that you look at and go, if you can find a way of winning that gives you a big chance.
Yeah, the platform's there then, isn't it, I suppose, Mark, if you do win it. Well, listen, we're going to do a Q&A section a little bit, a couple of minutes' time, so get your questions for Mark coming into the chat as well. I'm sure he said off air that he'll answer pretty much anything. So, yeah, we'll look forward to some of those things.
Liverpool fans are probably nicer to me than some United fans, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
Why is that?
I don't know. Apparently, it's probably because I'm a Forest fan or some shit like that. I don't know.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's... That's just the life, unfortunately, isn't it, Mark? It is the way that the world is.
It's lonely.
Yeah. Well, all right then. Well, what do you think? Obviously, going into this game, it's massive, and then we've got yet again a week later in the FA Cup. How does that play into this week?
I know. I saw that's basically the same kickoff time of 5 o'clock, isn't it? A week on Sunday in the Cup. Funnily enough, previous to my last statement, that got me in a lot of trouble with some top Man United fans this week, because I basically, when we got you in the draw, I said couldn't give a shit. I really don't give a shit about the FA Cup, because Liverpool will play some of their reserves, and so should we. And we've lost so many what I was basically saying is I don't care about the FA Cup. It's all about the league game, because that's what it should be about. Some United fans obviously don't think we've got a good chance in the league, so they want us to win the FA Cup, which I get. But do you want to win the FA Cup again over Sunday? I don't.
No, but I don't want to lose to Man United either. So it's just a weird position to be in, isn't it?
If we beat you on Sunday, I'm happy to lose 3-0 in the Cup. Would you take that?
Only if we won on Sunday.
No, you see, I'm not having that. The FA Cup, look, once Sunday's out the way, we'll all be going, I can't fucking wait to play them on the following Sunday. But as of now, I couldn't give two shits about that FA Cup game. It's like, it's just not important at the moment. But if you beat us on Sunday, I'll be like, right, we got to beat them, So
yeah. What about this game then? And who are going to be your forwards against us? Because is Martial out with a hamstring? Is that I read that yesterday? I think it was.
I don't know. I think he's done this before. He's wandered off and been fine the next game, but he's a bit injury prone, Martial. So I hope he's going to be fit. But some United fans don't really think he's playing particularly well. But I think you need a bit of pace and a bit of flair in a game like this. So Martial would be a big miss. I think Rashford's obviously going to play, massively important as well. you know, he might play a 5-3-2 and play 2 up front and just go Rashford and Cavani. If he plays a 3, I don't know, because if we play a back 5, then at least you can deal with Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I think it's a bit too defensive. So I think Cavani and Rashford will definitely start, and then it depends whether Martial's fit.
And then, are you looking to exploit that space in behind the likes of Robertson and Trent? Is that the game plan for Manchester United, do you reckon?
Yeah, I do. I think Rashford's obviously one of the quickest players with the ball and without the ball, and I think that if we've got, you know, someone like a Paul Pogba would be very interesting, and Bruno who can hit that sort of ball into that space and transition defence to attack, because you're going to attack us a lot, of course. So yeah, I think that is the better way than trying to build our way through Liverpool and, you know, having a lot of chances for Cavani to scrap on. I think corners, set pieces, and then hitting you on the break are probably our best ways of scoring. All
right, we're going to get into this, the Q&A section of the show now then, and we've got one from our Redmen TV Discord for subscribers to the website, actually, from Stephen Ryder to kick us off. He said, "Hey Jack, can you ask Mark tonight if he feels hunted now that United are top for the first time in God knows how long, and can you inform him they're not going to win the league?" So Mark, you're not going to win the league apparently.
Thanks for that.
And I don't get the rest of the question, to be honest. He feels hunted. Oh, as in from the pack, from the chasing pack, I think he must mean. Does it feel like you've got a massive target on your back?
No, it's a bit like Al Danica Rice on that treasure hunt years ago. No one will know what I'm on about. What's that film with Jennifer Lawrence in it where she's doing all the hunting as well? I can't remember. They'll probably know. Hunger Games.
Yeah.
You do feel hunted when you've been hunted for a long time. When, you know, I think we are being hunted, but in another way, we've only just been let out to be hunted. You've not even come running yet. You know, we've only been top like hours. It's not like, you know, Liverpool or City who are top for a long time and hunted. So if we're still top after Sunday, I'd look at, like I said, Fulham and Sheffield United and think you're going to beat them. So I think if we can get past Liverpool on Sunday with a draw or a win, I personally think we'll stay top until deep into February when I look at our fixtures, if everything goes well, and then more pressure comes. But at the moment, I think we're only just top. I don't feel hunted at the moment. The longer you're there, though, the more pressure we will feel, because it's not normal for us. So it's a good question in that sense, but I don't feel like under pressure or anything going into this game. It's too soon.
I know you love an analogy, and I've got an analogy for this season. I think this is very much like the 10,000 metres, where everybody's just running around for loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of laps. But Man United are just at the front of this at the moment. And I think towards the end of the season, you know, a couple of laps to go, everyone's just going to go, right, okay, here you go. And you're just going to leave the fucking others behind. And I'm not saying Manchester United are one of them, but I think we're all getting a little bit too focused on everyone's dead close together and that's what it's going to be like till the end of the season, whereas I don't think that's actually going to be the case this season.
I think you can discount some teams, and I know I'm going to be ridiculously arrogant here, and we've got no right as United fans to discount Spurs and Leicester and Southampton and everybody else, but I do think it's basically Man United, Liverpool and Man City, and the big favourites are still Liverpool and Man City. I don't think anyone else is getting in the title race. I really don't. And whilst we're in one at the moment, I hope we're still one in April and March. We might not be, but I do think Liverpool and Man City are not going to drop loads more. I think they will drop points, but not as many as the chasing pack. So I think that gap will gradually get more and more for Liverpool and Man City. It's just whether United can go with them. I mean, Spurs have dropped stupid points, haven't they? Chelsea are nowhere near, and I just don't think Leicester and Southampton have got the quality to stay that long, or Everton, to be fair.
And we've got a new one from Adam Ahmed, who just asked for your man of the match prediction, Mark.
So hard. I think if Liverpool win, it's probably going to be somebody like Andy Robertson or Mane. And if United win, I think it will be Rashford or Bruno.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say for Liverpool, if Thiago starts, Thiago's man of the match, because the lad is just mustard, mate. He's just head and shoulders above everyone. He's come into this like world-class team full of world-class players, And everyone's just gone, tip of the cap, here you go, have the ball, because they respect him and they understand how good he is. And I think that's, for me, if Liverpool win, Thiago Robertson's a great shout from you as well. I think he's been so good for us this season. He hasn't missed a beat. Kieran MBTN, who says, a question for Mark. If United to have a centre-back injury crisis like we suffered, which current players from the United squad would he feel comfortable filling in at centre-back? And how big an effect on the team would you anticipate that having on the team performance?
The two that come to mind are McTominay, because he's played there for Scotland, and look, you're going to be desperate, aren't you? If you lose 3 or 4 centre backs, I don't want Phil Jones getting back fit. So McTominay would be one. I think Luke Shaw could do it. You could put Tellez at left back and put Luke Shaw centre back as well. So I think those two would be the front runners that could do it. Some would say Matic, but mobility wise, he'd worry me. So I think McTominay and Shaw.
And what type of effect would it have on the season then?
Massive. I mean, I think, you've seen it with yourselves. I think that, credit to Liverpool, really, that they haven't dropped as many points. And I know you have dropped a lot of points, but you haven't dropped as many as... I think the points that Liverpool have dropped have been surprising, the teams that you've dropped them to, like Newcastle, Brighton. The games that I highlighted that you dropped points were like Leicester and Wolves, and you battered them. And I think you kept clean sheets in some of them as well. So Liverpool have done really well, but I think when you lose your centre-backs, or you look at Man City last year when they didn't have a proper pair of centre-backs, and you look at them now, it's a massive, massive thing. So, and I remember it happening to United a few years ago. I remember us having to play Carrick and Fletcher at centre-back, and it really does hamper you. So fair play in that sense. Liverpool have, the people who've stepped in there, you do tend to ship a lot of goals when you lose your centre-backs.
This is a belter question now. This is for both of us. Both clubs have their legendary Champions League finals, which will be remembered forever. The question is, would either of you have preferred to win their respective finals, i.e. 05 for Pajak, 99 for Mark, in the way that the other club won it? So to clarify, for Mark, it would mean winning the treble by coming back from 3 goals down, having a last-minute worldie save, winning on pens, etc. And for Pajak to win Istanbul with 2 stoppage time goals.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because every time this doesn't happen. I mean, amazingly, this doesn't happen every day for me, because it doesn't. But as soon as you start talking about that, and then I think, and Solskjaer's won it, I've got goosebumps in my legs. It just hits me like that. So how could I ever give that up for what you've got? And I would imagine it'd be the same. I'm not saying yours was worse or anything like that. I just can't give up that moment, because I've never experienced anything in football. So why would I want to give that up? So I wouldn't give it up. No, I'd stick.
I would stick as well. I'm taking Istanbul because it was a better way to win a European Cup final, to be quite honest with you. And here's the other thing. Look, I'm going to say that, but that Man United side was brilliant. The Liverpool side wasn't that good, so it should never have happened. Like, we should never have come back from 3 goals down against AC Milan. And I couldn't see that Man United side being 3 goals down against Bayern. And if they did, it probably wouldn't have surprised me for you to go on and win it anyway. Not that Bayern were crap. Bayern were really good, but the Man United side was really, really good as well. Whereas the Liverpool side was trash. It was just not very good. The 2007 one was well better, and we were well better in the game, and yet we lost it, and that's karma biting us, isn't it? So we had a super chat from Stephen Somerville, one of our regular watchers. Thank you very much, Stephen. He says, here's a question for near the end of the Q&A. Too late. What combined 11s was used to have during this season between both teams? Oh, Stephen, I hate combined 11s.
We need about 40 minutes for that one, I think, Stephen. Yeah, and unless you think we can whiz through it very, very quickly. We're just going to disagree on so much of it. I think, Stephen, that's
I'm not going to argue with yours then. Would you have De Gea or Alisson?
Well, I'd have De Gea, but I can understand why people would have Alisson. What would yours be? Because I'm arguing with myself here. This is what I mean. It's a brilliant question, but I'm like, even myself, I probably am going to take 10, 15 minutes just to work through it. So
yeah, okay. Let me see if I can get mine then. Alisson Becker, Trent Alexander, an informed Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I don't think he's informed this season. I'll take Andy Robertson over Luke Shaw. Centre halves, well, it's the best of a bad bunch at the moment, isn't it? I'd probably take Fabinho and Bailly at the moment. But then, you know, I'm not really improving my injury crisis at the back with taking Eric Bailly. Defensive mid, I'm going to take Thiago. I'm going to take Bruno Fernandes in the middle of the park. And I'm probably going to take Jordan Henderson. I'm going to take Mo Salah, Sadio Mane and Roberto Firmino.
I think that's the one for me. It's the number 9 spot, because if it was last season, I'd take Martial over Firmino, but Martial's not really playing there. Cavani's not played enough, and Rashford can't play there. So, and yeah, I think with Salah and Mane, you can't put Rashford in, even though he's one of our best players. In some areas, there's players you just can't argue with, even though we've got good players. Like Luke Shaw's fantastic, but Robertson for me is the best left back probably in the world. So yeah, no, I mean, look, I probably would go a little bit different if I actually had time to think, but yeah, this is difficult.
Okay. We had another super chat from Paul Bolton. So Chris, question for you and Mark, your biggest fear from the opposition?
So, well, I've said it so many times. It's definitely, I think, Robertson. I don't like him at all because he plays for Liverpool, but as a player, I think, you know, fantastic. And Mane is just a concern. I think our right-hand side's weak compared to the left-hand side, so that's what worries me the most. Surprisingly, I thought I would have said centre-backs, but, you know, I think Firmino's a different type of striker, isn't he? So, yeah, Robertson and Mane.
Mine are definitely Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. I mean, Bruno's just incredible. He's an unbelievable player. And I love Rashford. I just think as a person, as a footballer, he's brilliant. His pace, his ability, he's just got it all. And he's got so much more. He's got such a high ceiling, Rashford as well. But even right now, when he's not at the player that he will become, he's still brilliant. So I do love a little bit of Marcus Rashford. Luke Foster, thank you very much for the super chat. Let's smash them Manx. Ha ha ha. Nice. Paid just to say that. Well done. The Dugout Football Channel. If you could have one moment from a Liverpool-Manchester United game that you could change in any game, what would it be? Mine's the Gerrard Red, he said. That's a good shout. Oh, that is a tough question. One moment in a Manchester United game. I'll go first on this to give you a little bit of time to think, because mine's probably the same. Mine's probably the Gerrard Red for different reasons. Mine is because Paul was doing the Sky fan zone commentary with Stephen Howson in the Sky Sports studios, and he basically said, here's the lad who's going to come on and change the game, and 30 seconds later he gets sent off. So because my best mate, because my best mate got absolutely rinsed on Sky Sports for that, I'm going to remove that one.
It's really difficult, and I don't know whether it's just because I've buried it or I just can't think of one moment that I would delete. I can think of plenty of Danny Murphy free kicks. I can think of Vidic being sent off, but we lost that game like 3-0. I think Torres scored a hat-trick. So I think there's not a moment that I think would change the event that immediately comes to mind. There's not that big Aguero thing or anything like that, because United and Liverpool just, you know, ships in the night. We've never been in the same harbour sort of thing for it to be, oh my God. And hopefully this year won't be that year. So I'm sorry, but I genuinely can't think of one that I'd go, oh, I would change that moment, because I can't think of a moment that has cost us against Liverpool. It's normally Liverpool do beat us. Like they've beaten us quite a few times in my life. I'd like to change some of those results, but individual moments, I'd bow down to the live comments if they can think of one that's a good one, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. I think I saw something fly by about Berbatov, but I'm not sure what that was. I don't know if that will spark anything in you.
Well, he got the hat-trick against you, so I wouldn't change that. I can't think of a moment of Liverpool drama that is a moment. I mean, I didn't like Gerrard kissing the camera at Old Trafford, but he still scored the goal, didn't he? And yeah. We've had a few against you, though, because I think like the 96 Cup final where Cantona threaded it through a needle, you know, you could just say, you know, if somebody just stuck their foot out, we might have won that game. But I can't think of Liverpool winning a tight game against us, because, like I say, when you beat us, it's normally been 2 or 3 or, you know, maybe I've been a bit lucky there.
Jake Harry sent a super chat. Thank you very much for that, but no comment. Who is your most underrated player?
Luke Shaw's massively underrated, and Fred is massively underrated as well. I think so. They would be my two candidates. Underrated by our own fan base, Luke Shaw as well, but Fred maybe outside of Manchester United is maybe underrated by people. But those two have been really solid for us this year.
Owen Douglas, well, another super chat. Thank you so much. If you could script one individual moment to happen on Sunday, what would it be?
Well, answering for the United Stand comments, they really want a last-minute penalty that Bruno scores to win the game. They obviously would work because they just really think that would burn Liverpool. And knowing the United Stand community, they would probably say Liverpool hit the woodwork 10 times, absolutely batter us, and we get a penalty. They don't care if we play shit as long as Bruno scores a last-minute penalty. So to me, I would love an end-to-end game, 3-3, a bit like you had against Newcastle. And the last 2 minutes, Rashford's running at Henderson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, flips through the both and bangs it in the bottom corner and wins it. Because I'm a purist, I'd love that. But so I'd go for that. Yeah, a great game, and then it's won by a great goal.
I would go with a Harry Maguire own goal. Just not like. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm all about it. Just it smashes him in his face and goes straight into the net, I think would be absolutely lovely, because you could just see that meme coming back out where he's leaning on the thing in his England kit and all that type of stuff. You could just imagine it and it would play out for days. Who's your favourite player to play for Liverpool in the last 50 years, said Jake Harries?
It's not a question you can answer, is it? So you can. I'll just do it from a respect talent way, which I can do, because I don't like John Terry, but I know he was a very good centre-back. So last 50 years for Liverpool, I can remember them in the late 80s, and I hated them in the late 80s. But I always thought that I always really quite liked Beardsley. Actually, Barnes was a good player, but I think begrudgingly I would have to say Steven Gerrard. He was a Roy of the Rovers sort of player, and I always wonder what Gerrard would have done at pick a team that won titles, whether it was United or Chelsea or whatever. I think he did a fantastic job with not many great players around him. So. Yeah, I think Gerrard, begrudgingly, because I don't really like him, but as a player, fantastic.
Yeah, mine for United, that's so tough, because I think, what Eric Cantona did at United, although, him and Sir Alex Ferguson and all those lads ruined my adult life pretty much for the best part of 20 years. I mean, Cantona was just one of those players, and back before that, but when he was at Leeds, I mean, he was brilliant then, and, obviously there's a lad that I wanted Liverpool to sign, but we never did. And then, so it would probably be Cantona. I loved Roy Keane as a footballer. I loved the gnarl that he had, and I think everyone remembers Roy Keane slightly differently to actually how he was. He could thread the needle, Roy Keane. He wasn't just blood and thunder type challenges, and he was one of the best passers of the ball in the league. He got so many assists and pre-assists and all that type of stuff back before that was even a thing. So, yeah, Roy Keane and Steven Gerrard would have made a hell of a midfield partnership. They'd have hated each other. I
think a lot of people, even in the United fan base, they because the class of 92 are so, they're all over the place. They think Roy Keane was just a Mark Noble, an angry Mark Noble, and he wasn't. He was angry, but he was actually a really good footballer. But he's not. There's this myth that's around him, probably because of what he's like in the media, that he wasn't a good player, and he actually really was. And I'm not old enough to remember Dalglish, you cheeky sods. People are saying there, why are you not saying Dalglish? I'm sure he was a very good player, but I don't remember him playing, really.
You said you were old enough to remember Liverpool in the 80s. Come on.
Yeah, but he was manager then.
He's player manager, mate.
Late. No, I don't remember him playing. Do you remember him playing?
Yeah, but I lived in Liverpool and my dad was going to cup finals and stuff.
I don't remember him playing. I remember him being the manager because I remember, unfortunately, obviously, the season when he was on the side at Hillsborough and stuff like that. But I don't remember him playing. I think I remember having sticker books of him playing and having stickers. But, actually, when you were old enough to watch football, I don't remember.
No, I mean, look, he's one of those players for a Liverpool fan that you have to know, and we've all seen videos, and we all had the VHS tapes back in the day, and, Ian Rush as well, the Goal Rush was a VHS that we used to have, and we used to stick, I think I've still got that tape, to be fair. So he's one of those players, but my first memories of actually, the footy and being old enough to remember it all are all sort of very early 90s rather than the 80s. So if I wasn't a Liverpool fan, I'd be in the same boat as you. Dara O'Connor, thank you so much, mate, said, will Ollie look like a coward if he goes back to a back five and two DMs?
I don't think we'd be very happy with it, but I've got to stick with what I've said a few times, that if you're going to go anywhere and hit a team on the break, why would it be cowardly to do it against Liverpool? They're the best. They're the champions. They're one of the best teams in Europe. Sometimes you can do that. Sir Alex used to do it against Arsenal. Play a certain way, and ultimately, we don't need to go gung ho at Anfield to prove a point. It doesn't mean he won't do, but I don't think we do. I think you play the game, not the occasion. I think that's the worst thing Ollie could do. And I don't want to see a 5-3-2, but I think a 4-2-3-1 can still be defensively compact enough to do the job. But I would expect us to invite a bit of pressure, because that's just respectful.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with that. Gav Red, does Mark believe United have closed the gap on Liverpool, or that it's a freak season?
A bit of both. I think we won't know what this is about until we get fans back in the ground, which I hope in a way, actually. I wouldn't mind the trickle of fans once this lockdown hopefully comes to an end like we had before Christmas. But I don't think, I think a full season starting again with fans fully in the ground, then we'll understand what this year's about. I think fans not in the ground has made a massive difference. Injuries, volume of games. It's very hard to gauge. I still believe Manchester United are 3 good players away from being of the quality of a Liverpool or a Man City. Doesn't mean we won't win the league this year, though. But I think next season we'll find out whether this year was just a weird year.
No, I think that's right. Got a really, really good super chat here from Joe Rainbird, one of our regulars. Thank you, Joe. He says, I'd change the Suarez ever incident, #Black Lives Matter. And I just wanted to say on this one, that is so right. Because I know Joe's a Liverpool fan first and foremost. And we all, at times, get suckered into believing the bullshit of our football club, and I think I know personally I made a mistake back then. So yeah, I think that's a really, really grown up thing to say, and that would be one of my reaction to that, and my blind sort of love for Suarez probably clouded my vision on stuff back then, and I hope that if it was to ever go the same way again, I hope I've grown up enough now that I would actually change my reaction and be able to see it for what it is. So I think that's a really interesting one, Joe, and really, really good of you to put that in there as well. San just says, question for both. How do you see the midfield battle playing out?
I need to know what midfield we're going to play, and you're probably the same. I don't know whether we're going to go with Pogba in there, or I think he'll go McTominay and Fred, in which case you're going to give up a bit of creativity for a bit more industry. So, that feeds probably more into Thiago running it creatively. If Pogba's in there, it could be very, very interesting. So depends how United approach it. And that's probably the most interesting area for me, because we've got 2 midfields that we can put out.
Actually, following on from that, Drew Ross says, Mark, are you worried about Pogba being a liability on defensively?
I am, yeah. I think that it's a bit. I'm glad I'm not making this call, because part of me just says chuck Pogba in there because on his day he's fantastic and he can hit that 40-yard pass from deep that no one else can. Then part of me thinks, at least with McTominay and Fred, you should get that. I wouldn't say discipline, because they give a lot of free kicks away, but you get they're shielders, aren't they? They're the defensive midfielders. So it's a big call for Ollie, that, because if he gets it wrong with Pogba, everyone will say he went a little bit too on the attack. But I got a feeling he'll fit Pogba on the left wing, which I don't really want us to do, to accommodate all 3.
Following on from that, it's Anshul Sankari. Mark, do you see United retaining Pogba?
Not at the moment. I think he wants to go, and I think that's the case. But football, as I've said before, anyone who says he's not going to sign a new contract, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. So many factors. Can anybody afford him? If United offer him more money, Riola's about the money. So do I think it should happen? At the moment, I'd respect Pogba if he left, because I think you can't keep changing your mind. And his agent, even if he signs a 4-year contract, his agent will be at it next year. I like Pogba, and he's a great player on his day. And I think he comes across as a nice lad. Unfortunately, his agent is just bad news, and it's disruptive. I understand his agent wants to make money, but it's public. You don't get this from many agents, and I'd rather just get rid of that noise around us, because but it doesn't mean it will happen. I still think he might sign a new contract.
Prajesh Pujari says, Mark, how afraid are you going to be of Thiago Alcantara?
I wouldn't say I'm afraid, because I'm probably one of those fans who just loves these sort of matches. I'd rather be playing Liverpool every week than playing Brighton or someone like that, because I think you learn more about your players. And we've got a lot of players that we don't really know how good they are. Like, we don't know if Fred and McTominay are really that good, or are they just mid-table sort of good, or top 4 good. So, I'm not scared. I know I think the thing is, I know how good Thiago is. I don't know how some of players are at this level. So I'm excited by it, and I'm wary of the quality, but I wouldn't say I'm scared of it, because, I would hope that our players can step up to the challenge.
Yeah, totally get that. We've had one from the Blue Diablo over in Discord. It says, question for both. Biggest liability in your squad going into this match, and where are the goals likely to be conceded?
If he picks Lindelof, it's them centre-backs. They're a liability as a partnership, and I've been very hard on Maguire this year, but, I've always said centre-backs, and Liverpool fans will know this, it's a partnership. You can have a really shit partnership, but then Maguire with Bailly is a good partnership, because you've got aerial ability and pace. So I think if he plays Bailly, I'm not worried about the centre-backs. Doesn't mean they won't make a mistake. Funnily enough, I think Wan-Bissaka is the one, because although he's one of our best defenders, he's having a really weird season, and that's the side. That is the side. And whoever plays in front of him has got to be so disciplined, because Robertson also becomes almost like a left winger himself. So that's the area. That's the area that worries me. And I don't know who's going to play on the right-hand side with Wan-Bissaka. So that's what worries me, yeah.
Couple more questions. I'll answer that one as well. For me, obviously, it's the centre-back issue at the moment. I don't know whether he's going to play Jordan Henderson and Fabinho at the back. I don't know whether Matip's going to be fit. I don't know whether, if he does play Henderson and Fabinho with having Thiago, you might have Wijnaldum and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in front of him. It doesn't feel very defensively sound to me. So I think, obviously, it's the defensive issues. You and Burns, I say, just a couple more questions now. They're getting over the line with 3 points against Burnley on Tuesday. Settle the nerves. Same goes for Chris. Does United's ability to find ways to win at the moment make you more nervous?
It makes me more happy, because I always think about, I watched a lot of Liverpool games last year hoping you'd drop points. I remember that win you got against Sheffield United where Wijnaldum and I think Henderson fumbled it. And I was just like, oh, this is it. It's going to be their bloody year. Or maybe that was the year before. I can't remember. But, Liverpool have done that for a couple of years. They've been brilliant, but they've also, I know this, Chris will know this, everybody knows this, you win titles by the games that you win badly, the fine margins. I always think back to that Brighton game at the start of the season where we played terrible and we had to do the retake of the free kick at the end. And United fans were going mad. How can you celebrate that? And we're shit. And I was like, because that 3 points is a win, and you never know how important that 3 points would be. And at the moment, it's 3 points ahead of everybody else. So I like this. I think winning badly is a brilliant thing, and I never look at it and go, well, we were lucky there, because it's 3 points, isn't it? And every team that wins a title will have a few games like that. So it doesn't worry me yet.
I must admit, like I think I'm quite similar to you in the way that I just love the moments, and I think you've got to celebrate your wins and you've got to celebrate your moments, because you don't know how long it's going to last for. It's like people used to have a go at, like, Liverpool fans thinking we're going to win the league too early in 13-14 season. Yeah, we did. So what? You can only sing we're going to win the league. You can't sing it when you've won the league, because you wouldn't sing we're going to win the league when we've won the league. Just enjoy the fucking ride. It's what it's for. If you're just getting enjoyment from winning trophies at the end of the year, then a lot of the time you're going to have a shit season, because there's only a very small handful of clubs who can do that, and I wouldn't have enjoyed the last 31 years anywhere near as much as I have if it was just about the Premier League. So take your wins where you can, man. As I say, Shane Brown now, I'm a United fan. Chris, are you worried about Bruno because he hasn't played against yet and he hasn't had a goal contribution in 2 games? Well, let me start. I wasn't worried about that stat, because I didn't know that frigging stat, did I? And I'd always be worried about Bruno, to be honest with you, because I think he's brilliant. And Mark, do you think Bruno could have an absolute worldie? He says.
You know what? I don't know, because I think it depends how much ball he's going to get. I think we had this against Man City, De Bruyne against Bruno, and I did say De Bruyne is going to get way more of the ball, and that's the thing. How often will Bruno get the ball in the final third against Liverpool? And if he gets a lot of it, then he's capable of having a worldie. If he doesn't get a lot of it, he's probably going to have a very industrious shift of hard work, which is also just as important. We're not going to Liverpool to play them off the park. We're going to Liverpool to try and get a result, and that's the mindset we need to have. I'm not really interested on whether Bruno's going to have a worldie or not, because I don't necessarily think it's going to be that sort of a game. Against Fulham, I think he'll have a worldie because he'll have loads of the ball.
Oh, we've just had another super chat here from Ethsham Ul Hassan. Mark, what are your thoughts on Clattenburg's comment about referees being more lenient towards you under Sir Alex Ferguson?
Prattenberg, I said this before. Somebody was on about this afternoon. They said, what do you think about Clattenburg having a go at Klopp? I said, he must have a book coming out or something, because I'm not changing my opinion on Clattenburg. I thought he was a crap ref. And I think he's now just coming out with statements to make Liverpool fans happy and United fans happy. Because if you do that, whatever book he's going to sell, he might sell. I don't know, or maybe he wants a job in something. I mean, at the end of the day, the day I start taking Clattenburg's opinion is the day I turn my back on everything I thought he did wrong years ago. So he's just, it's like Michael Owen, isn't it? I don't take any notice of what he's saying either. So.
Right, and this is the big one. This is the last question of the day, and it comes from Callum Duffy, and I think it's the one on everybody's lips. Would you trade, I'm guessing you're American, Aaron Wan-Bissaka for Trent Alexander-Arnold? But I know that's a fair trade. You're probably not American. Would you trade Wan-Bissaka for Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I wouldn't do it because I'm an old...
Come on, Trent's well better than Wan-Bissaka.
There's a but, Chris. I wouldn't do it because I'm old school and I just don't believe in taking Liverpool players. But in a fantasy world, yes, I would, because Trent Alexander-Arnold may not be good defensively, but I think he's absolutely amazing. I know he's not doing it this year, and I think you'd probably have more reason to know that than I would, Chris. But some of the free kicks, some of the deliveries, and he's so young as well. I think he's what a right back should be, and I think you can make him a better defender. You can't make Wan-Bissaka do what Trent Alexander-Arnold does going forward. And it's funny because people always say who's the best right back in the Premier League, and I think there's such a lack of competition in every other position. You can argue. You always end up coming back to Gary Neville, or I do, because I think, well, actually, he's a good defender and he was good going forward. We've had a real lack of real good right backs for a long time, and I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is one of the most exciting because of what he can do going forward. So yeah, principally Trent Alexander-Arnold is a better right back than Wan-Bissaka, but I'd never swap him because I just wouldn't do that United Liverpool thing.
And there is one more super chat, so we'll just do it. Thank you so much again, Joe. And I think this is a real one to see just what type of a person you are more than anything, Mark. What's the best biscuit for Duncan?
Without a doubt, the elitist biscuit for dunking is, as a dunker myself, is definitely the hobnob. It can soak up half a cup of tea with one, so hobnob for me. What
type of hobnob?
Well, chocolate is nice, but the older I get, my sweet tooth is going, so I've gone actually just back to plain.
Wow. It's the chocolate hobnob, but you were close and you were in the same ballpark, so that's brilliant, Mark. It's got to be, it's the best biscuit going for a start. I put on about 1.5 stone because of chocolate hobnobs in lockdown 1s and 2, because they call you. You can hear them as you walk past the drawer in the kitchen. Them bastard chocolate.
Well, we
hobnobs.
had these biscuits the other week, and I loved a cup of tea with biscuits is fantastic. We had these biscuits the other day, and all the wife could hear was me moaning because I'd dunk it in, and it was literally even hot. It was just like, take it out and it's breaking. I was like, I can't even dunk it. There's no dunkability with this. It's not. It's literally going like that, and it's falling in my tea, which ruins your tea. So, yeah.
What biscuit was it? Just so I can avoid it.
I don't know what it was. I'm trying to think. I think it was from one of the. I think it was over Christmas, and it was one of these like shortbread packets of things, and they just couldn't take it at all. It looks strong, but as soon as it's in a bit of hot tea, it just falls away.
If I was designing a biscuit, my first port of call would be, I'd get the design team together and I'd be like, right, I don't care what it looks like. I don't care really what it tastes like on its own. Let's start on the basis there's got to be good for dunking and it's got to be good with tasting of tea. Yeah. That's where your starting point for making a biscuit is, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And hobnob for me, there's nothing better. They've got that down to a fault. They really did spend a lot of time with cups of tea when they made that biscuit.
And there you go. That is it. There we go. That's the Redmen TV's live Q&A with Mark Goldbridge. Thank you, everyone, for getting involved. Thank you to everyone who sent a super chat, for everyone who's liked the video, for everyone who's commented. Really, really enjoyed this one, Mark. And thank you to you for coming across and doing it with us.
No, appreciate it. We've got Chris on. I think our video is going to go out on Saturday the other way around, a bit more Liverpool focused, what they think about United. But no, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And thanks, everyone who's tuned in or watched it, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, brilliant. So, as I say, go and check Mark out. So I'll be over there on Saturday. If you're a Liverpool fan, if you're a United fan, you'll already be there. I can't imagine them going to speak to you early next week or on Sunday, but I probably will speak to you in the build-up for the FA Cup game. It is the biggest game of the week, the Premier League game against Manchester United. It could possibly be the biggest game of the season, but thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Redmen TV.